Hello everyone, this is Mr. Crozier. I'm going to help you with the practice quiz right here. So first one is the difference quotient, and we take this expression, and everywhere where we see an x, we put in this x plus 1, do some algebra, simplify it down. Same thing down here, but in this case we see x twice. So since we see x twice, we have to put x plus h in there twice, go through the algebra. When you get to these problems again, use your derivative rules and do what's ever easiest. On this one, I could have used the low d high minus high d low, but I went ahead and just divided this x into each of them and got these two expressions. So now I can just simply use the power rule and bring that down there. And then I went ahead and simplified this by getting common denominators. On this one, simply the power rule. Again, on this one, I rewrote this one into x to the negative 1/2 so I can use the power rule. Use the power rule and bring that down. This one here had a lot of questions on this today. This right here is simply the power rule. This expression becomes 1/4 x to the 4th. And then when you bring this down, 4 times 1/4 is 1. Subtract 1 is x to the 3rd. E to the x is e to the x. Again, power rule twice. Down here, we have a product, so we have to do the product rule. And this is left d right plus right d left. And there's really nothing to simplify here. I just simply move this negative term to the end, and I put the positive one in the front. On this one, quotient rule. Now, you can't simplify this. So you leave it like this, and there's nothing to simplify there. Number 4, change it to a power, then multiply this down, take the power rule. Same thing here. I rewrote this. I distribute this in there, and now this is 1/4 x to the negative 3. And then we go ahead and put this here, and now we can do the power rule. On number 4, we have the tangent right here. We're doing the tangent, and we have to find the tangent here. And then once we have the equation of the derivative, now we just go ahead and plug the 1 in there, and it's 8 to the 7th is 15, because we've taken the derivative, plugged in 1, now we have the slope. And once you have the slope, now you can just plug in your x, y points and figure out the rest of your equation. But the key is find the derivative first. Then after you find the derivative, plug in your point. On the next one, we're looking for horizontal tangents. Horizontal tangents are tangents that look like this. We have no slope. And if we have an equation and we're looking for a spot with no slope, we just put the 0 in there. Then we solve it, and we have x, and that's the x coordinate. Plug it back into the original, and we have the y coordinate. So what this is saying is at this point, -2, -2, at that coordinate, there is a horizontal tangent right there with a slope of 0. At the bottom, f of a, it's a positive number, and again, right there we have a horizontal tangent. At b, it's a positive number, we have a positive tangent. Slope of c, or value of c, we have a positive number, but it's a negative slope. Going forward, the instantaneous rate of change, well, that means the derivative. It's just a fancy word of saying the derivative here. That's all it is. What is the derivative? What's the derivative's value? Well, this is a derivative, but now you take a 5 and plug in a 5 because you want the value of it. So what that's saying is at this point, let's say we have a graph, at this point, wherever it is, the slope right here is 37. Wow, that's very steep. Up 37 over 1, that's the slope. Slope of the tangent here. Take the derivative. This is your quotient rule. Low d high minus high d low all over low squared, and that's what it is. Now you could simplify this, but they're asking me to find the slope, not the derivative. So this is a derivative. The slope is the value, so I just plug in -1. -1 there, there. Do the math, it comes out to 0. I had people simplifying this, and you could, But if you're just plugging it in, there's no need to simplify it. Product rule here, this is left d right plus right d left. FOIL, simplify. It's an easy one to simplify. Find f prime of 1. Here's the function. Rewrite it like this. Take the power rule. 3/4 times 2 is 6/4. Subtract 1. Simplify it to this. And now plug in 1. 3, 2, 4th root of 1 is just 1, 3/2. All right, on the last page. These are all the values. H of C. Well, this says plug in C, so we can write C, C, and C. And we'd have to do, to find these values, we have to do left d right plus right d left. Match those up. F is just C. G prime is -3. G is just 1. F prime is 2. Plug them in, do the math. Same thing over here. This one they already plugged in C for you. Doesn't matter. Low d high minus high d low over low squared, it's 11. Number 12. You have a product. Now what you cannot do is you cannot take the derivative of them separately. That does not work. It's the one thing we don't do. We can't do the derivative separately. So we do left d right plus right d left. Now we plug in pi over 6 there, there, there. Do the math, get common denominators, simplify it. And the last one, find the tangent. Well, that means tangent line, so that means y equals mx plus b. Well, here's the derivative, which will give you the slope. If I plug in -2, I have a slope here of -16, which means I have that value right there. That's the slope of my line. This is y equals mx plus b. The derivative's value is -16. That means that's the slope. Now, how do I find the b value? We have to plug in a point. And I only have the x value of the point. I don't have the y value. So how do I get the y value? Well, again, I take this point and I plug it into this equation here. What you really need to remember is this equation right here is giving you points. This equation right here is giving you slope. Points, slope. Then you get this. And the last two problems are proofs. Walk through the steps. There's a great video in the class doing it. We get down to the bottom, we get cosine of x. 3 dots means therefore the derivative of sine is cosine. Down here, the derivative of tangent can be sine over cosine. Quotient rule, do this math. Therefore, the derivative of tangent is secant, because that's what I've got. 2 great videos for that. Memorize those steps. Your quiz tomorrow will have these 2 problems on it, plus some of the other ones. All right, hope this helps. If you have questions, we will have a few minutes at the beginning of class tomorrow. I will see you then.